Hello. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to get familiar with our work among the Naga people of Northeast India. I'm actually sitting in front of a webcam in my parents' guest bedroom in Damascus, Oregon right now. That's where I'm staying while I wait the required 2 months before I can apply for a new visa to return to India. But the scenery isn't that interesting, so I'll keep showing you scenes from Nagaland instead. The ministry that God has prepared us for is a threefold ministry, teaching agriculture, health, and the gospel in such a way that the blessings of the kingdom of heaven can be more fully experienced in this life, and characters can become more fully fitted for the future life. Before I tell you about the wonderful blessings that are already unfolding in Nagaland in response to our simple efforts there, I'd like to share with you a brief personal testimony. I was born on the 22nd of October 1959 on the island of Bermuda. My father was the son of immigrants to Bermuda from the island of Grenada, West Indies. My mother was a Transylvanian Saxon, born in Romania and transplanted to Germany during World War II. In those days, there was a lot of prejudice against West Indians by Bermudians, and that was half my heritage. And to make matters worse, my parents had broken all the 1950s taboos against interracial marriage, so there was a price to pay for that too. I grew up in 3 countries, Bermuda, England, and the United States. During those formative years of my life, I was impacted by at least 6 distinct cultures. In relating to people socially, I found myself programmed with conflicting rules of etiquette and behavior from the many different cultures I'd had to function in. This was a challenge for me because choices that seem straightforward for most people, for me, were often overwhelmingly complex. Although I still find it a bit difficult at times, these conflicts were finally resolved for me when I found my true identity in Jesus Christ. In Him, I find full acceptance, and the rules of behavior I find in His Word are simple, sensible, and consistent. They don't conflict with one another the way human rules and expectations do. I seek to please Him first, and try to fit into the culture and expectations of other people only as far as it is consistent with true love. It seems that God is involved in where each one of us was born and how we were raised. He even allows mysterious providences into our lives at times, and for some of us, the school of suffering that He uses to mold us for service can be very severe indeed. God's purpose for allowing such pain into our lives becomes plain to us after we've come through, by His grace, to the sunlight on the other side of the trial. Peter describes the result of coming through this school of suffering in these words, that the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ. It's all about learning how to become genuine. Now I know from experience that God's work in this earth will not be finished by might or by power, but by His Spirit poured into vessels emptied of self. And if it takes shattering you into 1,000 pieces before you finally come to the end of yourself, then He'll do it. It's not pretty while you're going through it, but the result, if you stick it out, will be genuine faith that can move mountains. That's my testimony. Genuine faith can accomplish what talent, education, and professional polish alone will never accomplish. This is proven by Gideon and Barak and Samson and Jephthah, also David and Samuel and the prophets, who through faith subdued kingdoms, worked righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, became valiant in battle, turned to flight the armies of aliens. Women received their dead raised to life again. It was this kind of extreme faith that took me to Nagaland, a region of the world I'd never heard of before meeting my Naga wife and ministry partner. It's a fascinating part of the world. The Nagas are a Mongoloid people who settled in a beautiful region south of the Himalayas, sandwiched between Bangladesh and Myanmar. The area is also settled by the Kasi, Garo, and many other tribes that are ethnically unrelated to the Naga tribes. The British connected this diverse tribal region to India by a narrow corridor of land to the north of Bangladesh. This connection has not been appreciated by many among the tribes of the Northeast, and there has been a long-standing underground militancy among most of the tribes of the seven sister states of the Northeast with the aim of securing independence. Ceasefires have been in effect for years now, and the borders of some of the states were opened up to unrestricted foreign travel. But at the time of my arrival, a restricted area permit was still needed for me to enter Nagaland. Now, since this past January, the Indian government has abolished the restricted area permit for Nagaland and neighboring Manipur. Travel by foreigners in and out of the state is now unrestricted. Before my arrival in India, I had been able to give health counsel and natural remedies instruction that brought heaven's healing to one of my wife's younger brothers who has slipped away from the church. As a result of the impression that was made by this demonstration of God's healing remedies, it was an easy matter to begin opening our newly rented apartment up as a home-based lifestyle center soon after the wedding in January of 2011. This was an immediate success, and it proved that 100% self-support is possible for my wife and me. Even more exciting than that is the ease with which we can teach other Naga church members to also become fully self-supporting gospel medical missionaries. Training full-time Naga missionaries capable of supporting themselves in God's work is the only way we can meet the gigantic challenge of reaching more than 2 million unreached Nagas in Nagaland and the neighboring states in a personal way and also in a relatively short period of time. The history and character of the Naga people convinces me that once they are equipped with the knowledge and practical skills to be able to duplicate and multiply the work that my wife and I have already begun, they will make a mighty and fearless army of laborers for God. The Naga people were originally fierce headhunters, but when the gospel message came about 100 years ago, they embraced it with open arms. Today, the state is 95% Christian, but in spite of this, there are few Adventist churches of significant size and fewer than 800 church members in the entire state of 2 million. By contrast, the neighboring state of Manipur has over 8,000 Adventists. Meghalaya has over 13,000, Mizoram has almost 17,000, and Assam has over 43,000 Adventists. Over and over, Adventist pastors and church leaders have wanted me to understand that Nagaland was the neglected state of the Northeast. The need in Nagaland is truly great, while the laborers and funds are few. Writing to the churches of the USA, Pastor Moses Shimray, the director of the Nagaland region of Seventh-day Adventists, says, "We have been deeply grateful for the arrival of Brother Ian Jones. He has been working with us as a self-supporting missionary together with his Naga wife. His weekly newspaper column in one of Nagaland's leading newspapers is already making an impact. We trust that God will continue to bless his efforts to reach the unreached and that a harvest of souls will be the final result. Right from the start, I went to India with the purpose of pioneering a self-sustaining gospel health work without taking a penny from a sponsor. But there are some things that no one can do alone. Just as our home-based lifestyle center was taking off with a growing waiting list, and with the last of our cash already invested in the work, we discovered that we had been given wrong information about visas and residency. I had no option but to return to the U.S. to renew my visa. What a call to prayer! What an opportunity to exercise the faith of Abraham. And God did answer our prayers. In a land where the vast majority knows only deep poverty, the needed money came. Although I am still impacting the entire state of Nagaland through the weekly health and healing column, we could be accomplishing far more if we were physically there. For that, we're going to need some short-term help to get back and get reestablished. To meet this need, we've set up an online fundraising event. Here are the 3 simple terms for this event. 1. We commit to use all donations for the particular item they were earmarked for unless you tell us otherwise. 2. All funds will be held in trust by our payment processor in Germany until the entire fundraising goal is met. That is their policy. They will not release any funds to us until the entire event is sold out. 3. In the case that the event does not sell out, your donations will be returned to you by our payment processor, and we will get nothing. So, those are the terms. Now here are the needs. 1. $5,500 to ship valuable books, agricultural, and medical missionary equipment to Nagaland. 2. $2,500 for travel expenses. 3. $2,000 for an electrical generator and backup system needed because the power goes off on a daily basis for hours at a time, sometimes in the middle of treatments that require electricity for steam generation. 4. $4,000 for the purchase and registration of a good used vehicle. 5. $65,000 for the purchase of 200 beautiful and amazingly underpriced acres that we have located in the cooler elevation of the mountains, surrounded by God's healing nature with abundant water and fresh air. There we can grow everything needed for food self-sufficiency for lifestyle guests, students, and for market. 6. $25,000 to develop and equip the property very modestly so we can make an immediate start on a fully agriculturally and financially self-sustaining mission station that will include a training school for self-supporting missionaries. 7. An additional fund for miscellaneous needs before the work is generating its own income again. A larger unrestricted fund will only help us to meet other basic needs more quickly so that more souls can be contacted with the truth more quickly. We have formed an Indian nonprofit NGO, the Edinburgh Charitable Trust, for the purpose of holding all ministry assets, and we will submit to yearly audits by church accountants to maintain complete openness and transparency in the stewardship of God's money placed in our trust. Though we are an independent legal entity, we are not independent from God's church. To the contrary, we are members of the body, and as members, we are accountable to the body. On the other hand, the body is also instructed by Christ to care for the needs of every part of the Lord's vineyard. The Lord's messenger gave this specific counsel to the people of God. I am instructed that there are among us those who should become God's agents to labor for the advancement of this work. The Lord would be pleased to see our people who have means using it freely in opening the way for workers to get training as medical missionaries. To those who have money, we say, make your donations. Christian giving expresses the principle of grace. It is one means by which the Christian demonstrates graciousness. Having been a recipient of God's grace in salvation and in the Christian life, the Christian ministers grace to others. The bottom line is written on our donation bar at the bottom of your screen. We don't need ongoing sponsorship. All we're asking is for you to give us a boost to get back to our own self-supporting gospel medical missionary work and to the work of training others to become self-supporting medical missionaries too. To accept your donations, we're using the payment processing services of amiando.com, a German-based online event planning service, because it's completely free to us. You'll be able to donate as little as $20 to one or more specific funds, but that small donation will be multiplied by thousands of other donors from around the world, and the work of God in Nagaland will move forward with all its needs supplied. Our God is able. May God bless you richly as you graciously give to advance the cause of God in Nagaland. Precious Father in heaven, every day my Naga people and your Naga people are dying for lack of knowledge. Thank you for touching the hearts of your people to give willingly so that we can train an army of workers fully equipped to take this gospel of the kingdom to this land of the Naga that has been neglected so long.